finding how to pull it in some way. They can't have it there too much longer, I think, because people are going to ask too many questions, and I don't know how much more they can milk it.
Yeah. Well, it's got holes in it already.
Again, Fluxo?
Got so much holes already. How much times can you patch a hole in deep space?
Yeah, how many fingers does an astronaut have?
You'd be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they keep the ISS going another 5 years. They're probably, they've got contingencies on how to engineer some sort of decommissioning, right? But they could keep it going another 5 years if, keep the people entertained.
That reminds me, when that finger hole thing happened and what's his name posted out on his Twitter, I actually seen some of the comments saying like NASA's fake and all this stuff. And I was like, maybe there are more people awake to this.
Oh, there are. Like Bulgaria is 7.7 million, and they had a research in the beginning of the year, around April, I think. It says that 8% of Bulgarians know Earth is flat, and 20% haven't made a decision yet. That's just here.
Yeah, well, in South Africa, just in the last year, we more than doubled the flat earthers all of a sudden. That's just in the last year.
Righteous, I'm telling you.
But wait, guys. But wait, I thought flat Earth was dying. Didn't they say flat Earth was dying 4 years ago? Isn't that what I heard? By the same trolls that are still in the chats every day?
Every day is dying, Chutter.
For example,
exactly.
It's like that meme, I cry every time, I die every time. It's always dying, but it's always growing.
I think in the UK it was something like 3.something%. I think the Earth is flat, which is lots of people because there's millions in the UK. If you put between 5 and 10% in a world scale, you'll get around 1 billion people. That means we are everywhere.
It's always been flat.
Yeah, everybody's a flat earther, realizing it or not.
It's just more.
It's called the McLean syndrome.
Like I was telling Leon the other day, I actually just pushed the button.
No, you should know this. It's called.
I want to know why the McLean symbol.
It's called the John McLean syndrome. He dies hard. Flat earthers are like the character in Die Hard, John McClane. We can't die no matter what you do. We never die.
Ooh. Hey, Aaron. That wants to join in the conversation. You guys okay with that?
Who?
I don't have that.
Who? Can you hear me?
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saying, The One, Sleeping Warrior, Righteous Force, Paul Hall, Flatzoid, Arwin, and I believe 10th Man. Very good to have you all, one and all. Hello, hello, hello.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. And we've also got a whole bunch of people on Discord. So hello, everyone on Discord.
10th man in Discord today.
10th man in Discord.
Oh, hello there.
Hello,
Signs
everyone.
of anybody?
Definitely no signs of Earth curvature, no.
Not from Pico Rivera.
Anybody think there's any evidence of curvature in Discord by any chance?
Yeah, there's all kinds of evidence.
What?
Any evidence for flat Earth?
That's not the question. Any evidence of Earth curvature?
We've presented evidence for curvature. Do you have evidence for flat Earth?
Present it.
No, it's been presented.
Couldn't give a crap. We're asking for it to be presented now. Either present it or shut up.
Ships go over the curve. Ships go over the curve of the horizon. Sunsets. Every sunset.
Is a not actual location. We've covered this with you, Brenda. So did you just ignore all of the rebuttals when you presented this last time?
You making claims doesn't make things true.
The horizon is a not actual location. Do you believe that the horizon, this position you believe the boat's going over, a reified edge of your sphere, is an actual location? Because you can't reach the horizon. It's not an actual location.
Just because you can't reach it doesn't mean it's actual. Or not actual. The horizon is a real place.
Just said just because you can't reach it doesn't make it not actual. Yeah, it's not actual. It's not real. The fact that you're about to reify your sphere edge into that position, which is precisely what you claimed, 4 days ago? And you've ignored every word we've said. Every single word.
The horizon is a circle centered on the observer, right, that describes the edge of the sphere.
That's your reification fallacy. You've literally parroted the exact same claims you made last time you were here. So that is your automatic assumption that the arbitrary position where the sky appears to meet the ground is actually your reified edge of a sphere you're presupposing in this example now. Because you're saying it's the leading edge of a sphere.
Yeah, that point is a real position on the sphere, on the globe.
And you're reifying the horizon into that position.
No, it's the limit that you can see on any globe object.
The sphere. Yeah, we heard last time. We pummeled it last time. You dictating that we must accept that the horizon is in fact the leading edge of a sphere is your A, reification fallacy, and B, begging the question fallacy. These are exactly the same rebuttals you had offered to you last time. Now, you haven't that time or this time in any way, shape or form acknowledged that by dictating to us that the horizon is actually the leading edge of the sphere, that's your reification of your sphere model for Earth into the horizon. And also your example starts with Earth being a sphere. You're saying it's the leading edge of a sphere because that's what Earth is according to you. That's a begging the question fallacy. So same as last time, you've given us a begging the question fallacy and a reification fallacy. In fact, same as last time, 2 reification fallacies, because you've also reified that leading edge of the sphere, reification fallacy times 1, into the horizon reification fallacy times 2, a not actual location that you're telling us is a physical position, the edge of a sphere. No, it isn't. So 3 fallacies, same as last time, exactly the same.
Well, number one, spheres don't have edges. And they don't have leading edges. Those are words.
What sphere
Those are
are you
words.
talking about, Brenda?
What sphere? Yeah, good point, Chocolate. What sphere? The one that you're going to reify Earth into being, or this one that you're holding in your hand describing?
For
If
any
edge, what edge do you think that we're on?
for any sphere, for an observer on the sphere, there is a point.
You keep
There's a
reifying
circle.
your Earth sphere. You keep talking about spheres. Yeah,
Yes.
you haven't addressed the fact that I've pointed out this is begging the question. Now you're going to babble on about bloody spheres. Yeah, when Chocolate said what sphere, yeah, the reply from you, in actuality, although you haven't verbalized it, is the one I'm going to reify Earth into being. Yeah, the fallacy I've leveled at you, and you haven't acknowledged or addressed. So what sphere? Your reified sphere. Your reified Earth sphere. That's what sphere. You didn't answer, Chocolate, and you haven't addressed anything I've rebutted your claim with. Same as I did last time.
Okay, I understand your problem. Science builds on previous knowledge. So
You did the same shit last time. Science builds on previous understanding. No, it doesn't. It establishes cause and effect based on systematic experimentation performed after formulating a viable hypothesis.
But a previous
So no, it
cause-
doesn't build on past experience. I also... Is it time you start interrupting the same rebuttals I gave to you last time that you hand-waved, ignored, and are now parroting rinse and repeat style now? Don't talk through me. Out. Why am I bothering? I've gone through this once with you, and you hand-waved and ignored everything last time. So far, right, now you're going to get a chance to actually acknowledge what I've said. Do you appreciate that the horizon, a not actual location, an apparent position where the sky appears to meet the ground, is not the leading edge of a reified sphere you keep talking about? That's called a reification fallacy, times 2. I'd like you to at least acknowledge what I've said. Otherwise, you can't take part in a conversation. You're just rinsing and repeating, ignoring everything that's challenged when you state that boats go over this reified position.
I acknowledge what you said, but I'm talking about the true horizon. You're talking about the apparent horizon. The apparent horizon depends
Only one
on...
horizon. There is only one horizon. It's not 2. There's 1. There's only one horizon. It's a not actual location. You saying there's 2, one that's actual, physical, is your reification. That is the fallacy you've committed. You're just yet to address that either. Still haven't addressed it. You've said, oh, I acknowledge it. But then there's actually 2 horizons. No, there's 1. A not actual position. Simple. Not 2, 1.
It's a true horizon because for any sphere and for any observer...
She's ignored me and reified the sphere for a 3rd time.
Any sphere.
So, on any
You're
sphere...
ridiculous.
So, chocolate. So that's you reasserting your reification fallacy on any sphere. So Earth in this example is a sphere then?
Yes.
That's a reification and begging the question fallacy.
No, it's
So
not.
in your example, shut up. In your example, the thing you're trying to prove, Earth's sphericity, is already established as a premise at the outset of your example. So Earth is a sphere already in your example. That's begging the question, love. You're too thick to get it.
I'm not trying to prove the Earth is a sphere.
Then why are you here? Why are you talking about sphere Earths and boats going over them? Why am I getting rumpus from my own panel? Why are you talking about boats going over a sphere Earth horizon then? You're just here to chit-chat?
Because...
No mates?
The boats going over horizon is a prediction of the model.
What model?
The globe model.
The stutter, fuck up your own mic globe model that you're presupposing when you're trying to prove Earth's a sphere with this example that matches your model that you are reifying times 2. 1 by way of assuming Earth's a sphere by setting out the example with it taking place on a sphere, begging the question fallacy, and 2, the reification thereof, Earth being a sphere, and reification x2 horizon into actual location. So we haven't had any of this addressed. You've reasserted it 4 times. You are begging the question. You are telling us Earth's a sphere in your example, and then telling us what spheres do. You are reifying the edge of your sphere into a not actual location. You're never going to address any of this crap. You didn't address it last time. You're not addressing it this time. And undoubtedly, the next words out of your mouth will be your reification of a sphere and telling us about how the horizon's got boats going over it. Correct?
Scientific hypotheses make predictions, Nathan.
No, shut up about science. You got it that wrong too. No, it doesn't build on past predictions.
Yes, it
I've
does.
already explained this to you. You've hand waved and repeated that shit too. So no, it doesn't build on past ideas or concepts. It establishes cause and effect with experiment. You're wrong. Don't tell me again what science does. You're incorrect.
I'm incorrect that scientific models make predictions.
Scientific models. So there's a model that you have that you can give us as an example that's been based on experimentation then. What model's been based on experimentation?
The model is a sphere.
Not the model, any model. Give me an example of any model that's been based on scientific experimentation, validity given through cause and effect relationships. Give me that.
Yeah.
Not your bloody model that's definitely scientific.
It's a sphere. That's the model.
Just bloody spouting your religious belief isn't going to fucking cut it. Can you calm down, guys? Yeah, just spouting your religious belief isn't going to help you. I've asked you for a scientifically valid model, given that you've said models are scientifically valid, and then just juxtapose that with your fucking model. No. What model's been scientifically valid? Give me a single example.
The spherical model.
It hasn't. There's no scientific validity to the sphere model. Zero. You won't offer up a single experiment in regards to that sphere model. None. There isn't any.
Oh, yeah, the Euripides experiment. Yeah. What
was the Euripides experiment?
Which was it? How do you pronounce his name? Anyway, Aristophanes.
Oh my god.
You don't even know your argument you're about to forward?
It's okay if people misspeak. That's okay. It's okay if you do it. It's okay if I do it.
Brenda, why don't you take 5 minutes, go have a coffee or something?
What experiment are you talking about?
The Styx and the well, conducted by the Greeks.
Presupposes Earth's sphericity.
No.
It makes it plain in every, even on Wiki, that the assumption of Earth being a sphere is part of the premise for that measurement.
Yeah, that's how science works, by hypotheses.
Assuming you're on a fucking sphere? No, it doesn't. That's called begging the question. That's made. So you're going to ignore it and say that's perfectly acceptable. That's science. I've asked for a scientific experiment. You've offered Aristophanes as an experiment. It's not. It's a measurement that assumes sphericity. He also begged the question. This is not experiment. Wrong. Your model's not based on experiment. This is not an experiment. It has no independent variable. It has no dependent variable. It's not an experiment. You're wrong.
Science uses modus tolens, not modus.
Tell me what science is. You are incorrect. This so-called experiment by you is not an experiment. Address that now.
Of course this is an experiment.
What was the independent variable? What was the hypothesis?
That the independent variable was the distance from the one town to the other town.
Distance is a concept. That's not an independent variable.
Sure it is. You can vary the distance between
Not an
the
independent
two
variable. You're automatically wrong. Distance doesn't cause anything.
Yeah, it does on a sphere.
Distance is not an independent variable. You are incorrect. As asserted correctly by me moments earlier, this is not an experiment. You've stated that your globe model is based on experiment. No, it isn't. The first chance you had to offer one failed. Your independent variable being distance is not a cause.
Of course it does. On a sphere, the distance between observations will cause different.
I'm going to beg the bloody question and say on a sphere. Why is it that you can only beg the question, and on 6 occasions when I've pointed it out that you're begging the question, your response is to beg the question again? Not acknowledge that you're begging the question, automatically assuming your outcome. You haven't done any of that. You just repeat it again 5 more times. You're guilty of assuming the outcome. Assuming that which you are trying to prove. Stating overtly that your example will take place on a sphere when you're trying to prove sphericity, only to later say, I'm not trying to prove sphericity. You're a complete buffoon.
Because I'm using modus tolens, not modus ponens. Learn the difference.
I don't give a shit what you're using. You haven't got any scientific validity to the assertion you've made. You've begged the question and used a reification fallacy in 2 examples so far. And from there on in, all you've done every time I've pointed that out is ignored it.
Well, part of the scientific process is hypothesis testing.
Don't tell me what the scientific process is. Again, I'll say how many times I'm just going to keep repeating it till you actually acknowledge your dumb, stupid idiocy. So, you have begged the question. Assume the thing you are trying to prove, that would be sphere Earth, by stating that your example takes place on a sphere. That is the very definition of begging the question. Now, don't just beg the question again. Don't tell me what science does when you absolutely have no clue, having declared that Aristophanes has done a scientific experiment. He hasn't. He has, however, done as you have done and begged the question, assumed sphericity. So are you ever going to address any of the fallacies you've committed, or is it on to just circle jerk me back to either boats go over the horizon, or saying that you're just going to assume a sphere, or saying that it's backed by science when it isn't? Ever going to address any of these rebuttals, love?
I'll address it directly right now. If the Earth is flat, we will observe X. We do not observe X, therefore the Earth is not flat. That's...
You're going to formulate denying the antecedent for me when I'm asking you about your logical fallacies. You're going to start a new logical fallacy.
That's modus tollens.
I'm asking you to address... I don't want you to tell me what modus tollens is. I'm asking you to address the logical fallacies you've used so far. That would be assuming your outcome, begging the question, assuming the example, i.e. it's on a sphere to begin with, therefore Earth's a sphere. Yeah, that would be a logical fallacy. Also, reification. Your sphere model is not the ground we're standing in. It's a model. That's called reification fallacy. And then the horizon, a not actual position, reified into your sphere model. So you're never going to address these. Last chance, then you're getting kicked out.
I have addressed them, and I have addressed...
Well, good, then you don't need to add anything else, then, do you? Good. That means you don't need to add anything. You've already addressed it. Good.